So now moving to item 9, the Capital Project Performance Report. And Richard Wesley should be joining us online via Zoom to present this report. So Richard, are you with us?
Hopefully you can hear me now, Andrew.
Yep, we can hear you perfectly. That's great. So the usual drill, any introductory remarks or anything that you particularly want to highlight, and then we'll move to any questions.
Great, thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I guess we've already heard in the reports presented already that we've been flagging for the last 6 to 8 months the risk of COVID, and we're really feeling that hit the capital program now. Apologies again from the management team of Three Waters. They're obviously out today with COVID. I'm still recovering at home from COVID, so it's certainly having an impact on many people, staff as well as contractors. Our forecast delivery has dropped since the last month, and we expect to see that continue to drop in the coming months from the effects that are being felt right now. The staff and contractors are suffering delays, and so we need to sort of effectively manage that on a day-to-day basis, but it's very difficult to quantify with any degree of certainty just where we're going to land with these effects, but we'll try and keep you updated with the latest information that we have as we go forward. Price escalation is another risk that I want to call out. Again, it's something that has been mentioned before in previous reports, but instead of resolving as we move through this wave of COVID, we have the Ukraine situation, we have oil prices increasing, so there's certain capital projects, i.e. in the transport area, that use very heavily oil-based products such as bitumen for the roads, and we could see price escalation having an effect on projects there. As Peter alluded to in his performance report, we're quite proud of where we're going looking to the future. So next year we have a well-defined program, and we're working on year number, the third year of the LTP as well, ensuring that we've got a good solid program ready to go in that space so that we can recover from where we are now. Other things is that obviously this report, page 47, has a summary there. Note that in the appendix we've got the Cycleways program, we've got externally funded reports, and we've got the watch list as well for detail. So while Te Kaha and Parakaiori are summarised on that front page on page 47, the full detail can be found on page 79 with the flagged red, amber, green flag statuses and comments against those projects. We've had feedback that some of the reports are getting a little bit hard to read in their current format, so we're hoping to get a few improvements for you next April. So you'll see for the report in April next month. So you'll see a few improvements next month. But happy to take questions.
Great, thank you very much indeed, and thank you for pointing out, what clearly are some areas of concern, areas to be keeping an eye on, keeping a good watch over. But again, I would reiterate that in very difficult and exceptional circumstances, this report represents really strong performance. I mean, these are, exceptional days that we're living in, and to be seeing the sort of performance we're seeing in this report in that situation is significant and certainly worth noting. So thank you very much indeed for that. Now let's move to any questions. Jimmy.
Thank you, Chair. Richard, thank you for the comprehensive report. But I raised 3 questions, particularly regarding to the project. First one on page 51, 52, Horseway Junction Road extension. Because based on your presentation, particularly emphasize the risk due to the issue resulting from the Kiwi Rail source problem. So my question is because this impact is kind of the timing and also kind of budget and the progress, etc. So I just want to know the final stage, the on integration with Kiwi Rail infrastructure. So how much the additional funding will be confirmed, and also if confirmed, who will pay? Kiwi Rail pay or council pay, or is the central government pay? And also when the final stage will be can be the tender, This is my question.
Yep, I'll call on Lynette Ellis, Head of Transport, to answer that one for you, Jimmy.
Thank you.
Sorry, Lynette's a bit slow on the on the buttons today. Councillor, I believe so. Can you confirm for me? You're asking when is the final budget, particularly for Horsell Junction Road, going to be confirmed with KiwiRail, and
Yes.
And who's responsible for that budget?
Yeah, that's right. That's
So,
the first. Yeah. Okay.
So I can answer the first part of that
Yes.
easily. We're responsible for the additional cost. I apologise. My copy of this is very small at the moment. I can't see what we've written on the watch list report, but staff are trying to ensure that the updates in this watch list report are the best information we've got at the time.
Yes.
We are still working with KiwiRail to try and finalise figures and dates.
Yes.
KiwiRail are, like a lot of organisations, and as we've just talked to, they are facing unprecedented demands on their time.
Yes.
And their budgets with trying to get materials, particularly materials and componentry into the country. They're a very steel-based organisation, so they are affected by steel imports.
Yes.
So the best information is what we've got in this report, and we're doing our best to push that along. Staff are having quarterly high-level PCGs with KiwiRail, and we've got fortnightly meetings with project teams.
Yeah, because my particular concern, because original order and the forecast delivery day will be in June of this year, but now it's postponed, delayed to one more year to the June of 23. So whether this still uncertainty will further delay, and also it's a big impact on budget, cannot meet the needs.
Yeah.
This is my particular concern. Yeah.
I can feed that back to KiwiRail.
Thank you. Quickly, second question, Chair, particularly regarding the new Hornby Centre on page 54. At the moment, my understanding, all those are the steel piling has been undertaken back to the middle of November last year. So I just want to know when this piling work will be finished, and also particularly we are all aware hydrotherapy pool at the moment, is working together partnership with the community, for the fundraising. But this poor material, whether has been through those procurement process, whether they will impact our original forecast delivery date in the March of 2023.
Brent, would you like to answer that one?
Yeah, I can answer that. Look, the piling methodology had to be changed on that site, so it is taking a lot longer than was initially anticipated. We don't know at this stage when it will be completed, but they're revising the timeframes over the next month. So by the time we do the next watch list report, we should have a bit more surety around timeframes.
Yes.
That coupled with the hydrotherapy pool,
yes.
It certainly will be delaying the completion of the project. It'll be out past March 2023, but
yes.
It'll be the next watch list report. We should be able to confirm exactly how far. It will be some months.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Last question, sorry, Chair, last question. Particularly regarding the page 81, major cycle route, South Express, section 1. My concern is because the staff particularly highlight the risk. For status reflect the dependency on KiwiRail and the risk on both the time and the budget beyond the forest forecast. My question is the original delivery time will be in December of 22, but now this time I saw that is a further delay for one more year, December 23. And also I'm particularly concerned at the moment, because still have a meeting with the KiwiRail, particularly for the detailed design, those program, whether those budget will be increased more, and who will pay, because this is one of the shovel-ready. Is central government pay, Kiwi will pay, or council we need to consider or those additional budget?
Lynette?
South Express Section 1, we are building everything we can apart from the Kiwi Rail section, which is around the Parker Street crossing. So we are looking to move ahead with everything possible beyond that. But however, the crossing at Parker Street has been delayed. The project estimates, I was talking to the project manager this morning, the project estimates for South Express have been undertaken, taking into account the possible cost escalations that we see from Kiwi Rail. So we have allowed extra contingency.
Yeah, but if this section, if a particular intersection is not yet finished, so we can ensure this actually the major cycle route, this section still not yet completed,
No,
when will be start? Yeah, I just want to.
So the best information that we've got is what is reported in the watch list report, and we are
so
trying
you
to
mean
be
just pending there, waiting for another year to start the construction or not?
That is the project manager's best estimate at this point in time as to when the Kiwi Rail works at Parker Street will be completed, but the rest of the works in Section 1 will be underway.
So you mean the underway will be completed in the end of 2023, or is it the end of 2022?
Richard, can you confirm
I couldn't see those schedule progress.
The time estimate. Sorry, Richard, could you confirm for the council, the time estimate is the completion date, isn't it?
Is the completion date, that's right. And I think you've answered it there, that the rest of the route will be underway and completed. I couldn't tell you exactly when the date for that to be complete, because the date shown of December 23 is that final section to make sure that the entire route is complete. So that comes back to Kiwi Rail issue. But we can get you an estimate of the time that the sections we can act on. We can get you that, Jimmy.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that. Now I've got Tim and then Mike. Tim.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Lynette, you've probably kind of answered the question I had with regards to Kiwi Rail anyway, because if you're looking at the page 51, it's got the biggest risk to delivery. The only one that isn't really for council is that isn't COVID related, but it is for Kiwi Rail as the Kiwi Rail interface. So my question was, the first question was with regards to, can we do the rest of these cycleways and other things and upgrades without touching the Kiwi Rail parts? You've answered that, so it's correct that yes we can, and you are, is that correct?
That is correct, and we're doing the same on Northern Line. Yep. Every other cycleway that interacts, we're doing every bit we can around the Kiwi Rail design, and working with Kiwi Rail also to progress as much as we can with them.
Good, thank you, because I guess through you, Mr. Chairman, I wouldn't want the ratepayers having to cough up for, I realise Kiwi Rail, like every other industry, is under stress with regards to COVID, but I don't think it's right for us to pick up the extra costs, which I think they should be delivering for upgrading their service. So I think we need a bit of discussion about that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'll move to Mike. So sticking with questions for the moment, Mike and then Yanni. Mike.
Thank you. My questions were also around Kiwi Rail, and I actually think, and I know Kiwi Rail will probably get raised in the later item today with the Escalation Express, but I think this is probably the best item to deal with Kiwi Rail, because obviously it covers a number of cycleways across the city, and I'm just looking at, and we know this has been ongoing for some time, but I look in, it's very small to read. The Northern Cycleway, it's suddenly trending down again. One of the sections, that must be the one that is the section 2B along the corridor. just wondering why suddenly that's trending down now, where we know it had a delay, but it's suddenly trending, becoming worse. So could you explain what's happening there?
The detail of that I probably can't write today, but what I can do is come back. What I would like to highlight is that KiwiRail and KiwiRail interface doesn't just affect cycleway projects, they affect many of our transport projects.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Yeah.
From looking at this, though, also this is not a level crossing. And sorry, it's really hard to read. On
Yeah,
this
can you tell me
screen.
the page, Councillor?
Page 80.
Okay, hang on. Give with me, I'll see if I can.
Major cycleway, Northern Line, Sturrocks to Barnes and Main North Road. I'm just thinking about the actual corridor itself between the physical roads.
My only understanding is we are still waiting on, so the trending down is we are still waiting on design approvals from KiwiRail for Northern Line. We haven't got all of our design approvals yet. So that'll be why it's trended down, and that's become more evident in the last couple of months.
Yeah, but do you know off the top of your head when we approved that decision on?
Northern Line was about 20. Northern Line was similar to Heathcote. It was about 2017.
2017.
Okay.
It's been going a long so obviously time. I understand they've currently got supply issues because of COVID, but this, was been happening well before.
They've got resourcing issues as well, trying to get staff and design staff in particular.
Okay, and we have raised this time and time again, and I know staff are probably frustrated with delays we're seeing. And we did a resolution in August last year. I think it was for the mayor to talk to the minister. Do you know if anything's come of that? Are we hearing much coming from ministers or higher up in KiwiRail?
Not from ministers. However, at the time, Dawn wrote to the then CEO of KiwiRail, and that was the point at which we set up regular higher level PCGs, which are still ongoing. I suppose it's probably time to consider what we do and how we escalate this again. Okay. And we have this conversation again.
And it's probably fair to say that because the KiwiRail aren't paying for these upgrades, it's coming out of our funds or shovel-ready money, and that actually a lot of the designs are going above what their design guidelines say, so they're getting quite a good upgrade for using other people's designs.
Are their designs going above? They are getting a substantive, at times, asset upgrade with what we are doing. Horsell Junction Road is one of them, but we are putting a crossing in the middle of a siding, so we've had to relay some track. It is a network that has got historical maintenance delays. So when you go to start works, you end up doing a lot more. You end up needing to do a lot more work than just the upgrade that you're talking to. Yeah. They have got KiwiRail have got very clear processes around how they manage and expect to manage risk. So we undertake it's called a LCISA, a level crossing. Can't remember what the rest of it is, but it's effectively a level crossing risk assessment every time we look to do works around a level crossing. They will often throw up, and as you can imagine, when we're dealing with trains, just about nobody else comes off better off if a train's involved in an incident. So we're working hard with them to try and provide pragmatic and staged solutions. It's not always the way that they would prefer to do it.
Yeah, and I guess then it's fair to say that often when you go through that
ISA, yep.
ISA, that what you think is the right solution is actually
there's often enough. there's often not enough. There's often not agreement on that process. Yes.
And the other thing, and I think Scrutton's Road is one, but you look at Langdon's Road, Sawyer's Road, we've got these shared paths that actually don't cross over the cycle, over the railway line. They actually run parallel, but we're still having to do quite big asset upgrades,
Yes.
even though they're not crossing over it.
Yeah, that is happening, and that's probably one of the major points of disagreement between us and KiwiRail when we're running parallel. Their internal assessments is we're increasing the potential for crossing, so therefore we must upgrade. We're saying we're not. We're increasing the bypassing traffic, and our assessment says, well, maybe we could do something slightly less expensive for now and have a staged approach over a few years of how we upgrade gates.
Thank you. Last question on this, and it'll be interesting to see what Yanni has to say. But do you have any thoughts about actually what a good approach it would be for like the governance side of council to take with KiwiRail?
I haven't thought through that at this stage. I apologise.
No,
Jane might be able to comment to that.
Yeah, if I can just comment. I mean, there is a new chair of KiwiRail board, so I think that it's probably timely for the mayor to reach out to the chair and have a conversation around how we might best move our relationship forward. But we're happy to come back with a little bit more detail on what that sort of future relationship might look like and how we might get there if councillors would like a bit more information.
Thanks, Jane, because I know Yanni was talking about doing an amendment or putting forward a resolution, so I think we need to make sure we get one that's actually going to be proactive and actually get some outcomes too. Thanks.
All right, so that moves us to Yanni next. Yanni.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I've got that wording that the staff have prepared. I don't know if that's been circulated around.
So we've got the wording. I can see the wording on the screen in front of me. It's on the screen here in the chamber, so we've got that put up. Jane, your advice is that this achieves what we're wanting to achieve in terms of looking at how we can get better coordination, better governance oversight. And, you know, clearly there's some frustration across a number of projects that have been raised in questions this morning. Your advice as staff, this resolution would allow us to start to consider how we can move some of that on?
Yes, yep, absolutely.
So you're comfortable with the wording?
I am.
Yep, indeed. So Yanni, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. So rather than ask more questions about KiwiRail, I'll just leave that as the amendment. But I did have a few questions on the other parts of the report.
Yep, go ahead.
Yep. Cool. Just the digital citizen experience, service request and related enhancements. I was just concerned that the time is slipping on that, and there's a number of issues that have been raised. As I understand it, this is to improve the customer service relationship between CSRs and build a better relationship with people when they contact council for services. Is this something, given the issues that have been raised, is this something that we can get, or we should be getting another briefing on from staff who are working on it to really understand the risk of delay and implementation?
I can't answer that one directly. I'm not sure whether Leah can provide any background on that one, but we'd have to get back to you, or Lynn.
Yep.
I'm seeing Lynn on the screen looking as though she has something to contribute here. Lynn, let's come to you now.
Right. So, Councillor Johansson, this is a very timely question. I met with the head of digital program and customer service within the last week, and we are planning to bring an update briefing to councillors within the next month. We've also received some very, very helpful user cases from councillors, which are helping to identify some of the glitches in the current process, and we're actively using those to make sure that in the next phase of design that they are really addressed properly. So thank you for the question, and we will definitely schedule a briefing very shortly.
Thank you.
That would be appreciated. Thank you. Just two other questions from me. One is in regards to the issue with the projects that are being delayed, and I totally appreciate the staff commentary around the impact that COVID's having in terms of supply, and particularly where you've got, projects currently underway. I guess wanted to get some sense of reassurance around start work notices or local communication to residents when those projects change. So rather than really just wanted some reassurance that we've got a process in place with the contractors to ensure communication with the local neighbourhood. Where a project is delayed, residents are informed why, rather than just reading on a signboard that's outside that suddenly the project's been delayed for another 3 or 4 weeks.
Yep, great. Thanks, Yanni, for that question. I think perhaps Lynette, affecting roading projects the most, but this will also affect Three Waters as well.
It has, and it does. We have we're just about to put out a newsline story, so we're just about to wrap around all of it. All of this, put some wrap round comms around the whole lot and the whole messaging that goes out. So we're starting with a newsline story, and as projects are affected, so at the moment we've had some projects that we're not going to stand up and start, and that's okay because there's nothing there, so we can move forward with that. So yes, when they get delayed, the contractors will be, we have ongoing communication requirements from our contractors to talk and let the communities know what's going on all the way through their projects. So we will be building that, but what I can suggest is that we actually just pop this down in a quick memo that comes back to councillors, the process.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm like, if delivery is an issue too, I'm more than happy to deliver leaflets in my ward around projects that are delayed if it's helpful, if there's challenges in terms of staff resource.
That is something that our contractors are contracted to do, so they will get on and do that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And just the other final question from me was in regards to Takapaniki, just on page 74, Takapaniki Reserve planned renewals, and the budgets. Is
that mine?
Sorry, the budget. I've just got my daughter at home. Apologies. Just wanted to check around the that project where we've got to with applying for a National Reserve status, and also have we approached Ngāi or the government in terms of Department of Conservation or whichever relevant departments within central government for a contribution. I mean, this is such a historic site. It really is a place of national significance. All the work we've done leading up to it has shown that. And I'm just concerned that it's, possibly not being funded sufficiently to achieve the outcomes that we might wish. But it would be good to, I think, get an update around that.
Great.
Andrew's on leave today, but I'm sure that Russell Wedge from Parks would be able to put together a memo updating council on the current status of it.
Yep, that would be good. I mean, I'm aware of some information that exists, but to get an update by way of a memo would be good, I think. Yanni, I certainly agree with the comments that you're making. This is a hugely significant reserve, nationally significant reserve. I think it would be good for us to have an update on where we're at with the National Reserve status conversation.
And also just like looking at applying for external funding or working in partnership. I know we've got the Tihunonga Committee. Maybe they want to pick this up and consider, funding opportunities for partnership.
So if we can get Russell to pick that up in any memo, either with an update as to any work that's going on or thinking that's going on, or otherwise indicating what future opportunity there might be. Yanni, thank you for raising that. Yanni, did you have anything further?
No, that's all from me. Thank you.
All done. All right, Mike, have you got something further?
Yes, thanks. It's just on the the resolutions that have been added around Kiwi Rail, and sorry, I can't see them now, they're on the screen, but I just wonder if we need to look at actually improving governance to governance relationships as well as having governance oversight of the relationship of staff.
So we've got to be enhancing the governance oversight of the relationship. Are you suggesting we need to be stronger than that and enhancing governance oversight and governance to governance relationships?
Well, the way I read 2B, it's about the relationship between council and Kiwi Rail. So I see that as a staff, at a staffing level, but I'm just wondering if we need to look at our relationship at a governance level as well and trying to improve that relationship.
So what wording change are you
relationship.
suggesting?
Put C at the C.
Yeah, I'm happy for that to happen. I mean, that was probably more of my intent, that, you know, we do have, like, if you take Greater Christchurch Partnership, where we, you know, there are things that we have where we do have a governance relationship, possibly with management rather than board members, but anything that we can do to improve it, I'm really supportive of.
So what wording do you want for C? Improving governance to governance relationships?
Yeah, that's fine. Well, improving's got to have one to improve, but I see Dawn's got a hand up, so you may have a comment to make on it.
Indeed. Yeah. Dawn.
Through you, Chair, I'm very supportive of the approach Councillor Davidson is describing. I think that the dialogue we have at an officer level has certainly resulted in at least working relationships to push, but ultimately I do think this needs a governor to governor discussion. And I think the opportunity of putting that in the resolution, particularly in light of a new chair coming into post, would be most helpful.
Well, it broadens the advice that's going to come back in the memo to cover that, which will be particularly useful, I think. So thank you. All right. So are there any further questions on this report? Nothing further? All right. So Yanni, given the work that you've done suggesting Resolution 2, I'm assuming that you're going to be happy to move this?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to second it.
And Mike seconding, and thanks for the suggestions as to broadening the scope of Resolution 2 as well. So this has been moved by Yanni, seconded by Mike. Is there any debate, any discussion?
Yeah, I can.
So Yanni and Mike.
I think Mike had his hand up first. I'm happy to let Mike go.
All right. So Mike and Yanni. Mike.
Thanks, Yanni. It's kind of you. The continued delays we are seeing from Kiwi Rail putting our communities at risk. Kiwi Rail need to see themselves as part of the community when they go through them, and they need to be focused on providing a safer environment for the people in the community that are needing to cross their infrastructure. And this currently has not been happening, and can only point to their internal systems that is creating these delays. It would appear that the opportunity to upgrade their asset at the expense of someone else is seeing upgrades above what is actually required, with Kiwi Rail not accepting designs that are based on their own design guidelines, adding significant costs that they do not bear. Shared paths that run parallel to the railway lines are seeing designs that include upgrades to people that need to cross, or cars that need to cross the railway line, once again, not at their expense. You only have to look at the crossing at Hillwood Road and Langdons Road to see an example of an issue with Kiwi Rail. People, including young children and people with disabilities, are having to cross these roads, which are getting busier and busier without safe infrastructure to help them. The decision to upgrade these intersections was made in 2017, and yet we continue to wait for these designs to be implemented or even approved. It's not good enough for these communities. Eventually, an accident's going to happen. I remember in late 2019 being at Langdons Road with an officer, having to actually physically stop traffic to let someone go through a mobility scooter because there was no room for them to move. It is not acceptable that we are seeing these delays, and Kiwi Rail need to realise that they are part of the community and are actually adding undue safety risks for the people in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Yanni.
Yeah, thank you. I won't repeat everything that Mike has said, but just to say that I concur with the points he's made around safety. But this is also much more than just crossings. There have been a number of issues. In Heathcote, for example, after the earthquakes, the speed of the trains and the condition of the track led to huge disruption to local residents in terms of vibrations and their ability to have any meaningful quality of life until repairs were done and improvements were made. So there has been a long-standing history of issues that have been raised by the local community where there is huge frustration that in contacting Kiwi Rail and dealing with Kiwi Rail. Ironically, also in parts of my area, residents who at no cost to Kiwi Rail have for many years maintained part of the rail network adjacent to the railway track lines. Kiwi Rail turned around and then wanted to start charging them for the use of the land. And, it's just not a very constructive relationship with the community. And the benefit that we have as elected councillors and as a city council is that I think we can really help facilitate some of those partnerships between Kiwi Rail, ourselves and the local community. And so I look forward to getting the advice back and making improvements. And just the other point, I just wanted to highlight a more general sense in terms of this report, but again, just to acknowledge and thank staff for the high level of transparency that exists in this report to us today. I really appreciate the heads up on a number of issues that are within this report that gives us greater visibility and oversight of what's happening on key projects in our city. And I just wanted to acknowledge the effort and the work that goes into providing us with the information that is in the content of this report. That is really appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Jimmy Chen.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, because if the project being delayed, by the COVID, by the cost escalation, or by the supply chain, I think a community, and also residents, they are aware of this situation. But if those project delay by the we have further negotiate or discussion with the Kiwi Rail, this kind of but I received the signal from community residents. It looks like they told quite a few people told me later they saw this council responsibility. Just two examples. First, regarding the Horseway Junction Road extension, actually back to the 6 years ago, in that time, the business manager of the Waterloo Road Business Park particularly mentioned, so mentioned that if the council can be, speed up the progress, they're right to contribute for $1 million, for this project, but we have further delayed to negotiate with the Kiwi Rail, so we lost this opportunity. Second one, even regarding to the part of the section 1 of this major cycle route, particularly from High to the Jones Road Templeton, the intersection of the Gilbert Thorpe's Parkers Road, that's also close the railway, also take a long time. This particular intersection is high risk for the traffic, transport, pedestrian, those the risk. Also, take a long time, have not yet resolved. So I totally agree. Should have the government to government council and the Kiwi Rail, government level, to monitor it, to have further the relationship or negotiate about this matter. It's quite serious. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not seeing anybody else wanting to speak at this time. So we've got a resolution in front of us which has been moved and seconded. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Against? Nobody against? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. So now moving on to item 10, the closeout report on Victoria Street, the